They are my favorites. Oh, look out. Oh, I gotta really hold on to this cactus. Look at how gooey that is. This is my favorite. Don't tell anyone. This is just the bucket list animal. These guys just really love to have their neck scratched. I love Nostradamus' shell. It's one of my greatest accomplishments. Want to see something funny, guys? Tortoises love showers. Oh, yeah. These tortoises, man, lots of work. Ah, there's everybody. All right, check it out, folks. We're hanging out here with the three amigos. We're talking, of course, about the giant tortoises today. I wanted to spend some time with these guys because, you know what? They are the pinnacle of tortoise keeping. I mean, if you guys love tortoises, who would not dream of keeping the Galapagos, like you see in Socrates and Darwin here, and of course the Aldabra, the two largest species of tortoises on the planet. Now, there were many species of giant tortoises in history. They have, of course, gone extinct, but the remaining tortoises are the ones you see right here, these two species. And I just wanted to talk about them because they are my favorites. And I kind of wanted to shed some light onto what it takes to keep such a large tortoise species and what I do to make their lives better here at the camp. And maybe I can impart some wisdom onto you, and maybe those of you who keep these giant tortoises will impart some wisdom onto me in the comments below. Let me know what you guys think about these tortoises. I happen to think they're just the most beautiful species and the most majestic, of course, because of their size, but also of their disposition. So starting here with this gal right now, and I wanted to check up on her because she had some injury on her neck, and I'm really happy to report that that injury is going away. And you can see just a little bit of scarring there. And what I think happened is, I noticed the injury because if you guys see behind me, there's an opening right there. You see that? I open that up when I know the weather is going to stay warm. These tortoises have a lot of room here at the camp. Basically, they take up, probably close to a half acre. Well, probably not that much, but close to a quarter acre of my property, and there's only 3 of them. And I allow them to walk around in these palmettos here, in that palmetto thicket. And the reason being is it's got such great exercise, especially for the Galapagos tortoises. And right now we're filling up the watering hole, and that has to do with exercise as well. For those of you who have been following the channel for many, many years, you know that in the very first episode of Kamp Kenan ever on YouTube, it was building this right here, this watering hole. And we did it with my friend Mark from Viewcrete, and basically we did it because the Galapagos tortoises need to have exercise for these hind legs. Many people keep them on very kind of flat areas in their enclosures without any kind of topography. And that's just not what these animals need. In fact, if you look where they come from volcanic islands where they travel great distances to find food and go where food is plentiful in certain times of the year, and they kind of migrate around those islands. And when they do, they're climbing mountains, they're going over rocky terrain, they're getting an incredible workout. So what happens is their legs will develop, and they'll rest their entire foot pad on the ground like a column, like an elephantine leg. But in captivity, when we keep them on flat areas, unfortunately, they don't get the exercise, and they wind up getting these splayed out back legs. And that's what happened to Darwin here. I got her in 2013 from some really great people who lived out in Marin County, but they kept her on a very flat, one-dimensional kind of environment. You know what I mean? It was very, very boring. It was only about a 20 by 20. Oh, look out. Come on, Socrates. There you go. And what's funny about Socrates and Darwin is they're both girls. A lot of females are in the trade here in the United States. There aren't as many males, and that's why males go for quite a bit more money than these gals right here. Oh, you got to really hold on to this cactus while they just decimate it. But anyway, I got Darwin, brought her back on a Delta flight. It was really cool. Got her back to Kamp Kenan in 2013 in our first episode ever. And man, she is just a gem here. I love her. But you'll notice, don't put your foot in her face, silly goose. So she's actually the one I got the latest one I got. So she's been here 8 years now. But it was Socrates. Was the first Galap I got in 2005 from my friend Jerry Mata, whom we've seen also on the channel. And Jerry Mata breeds Galapagos tortoises as well as crocodiles. He's a character, we love him. And this is how I got Socrates. And Socrates, going on back. Socrates is a really cool tortoise, but the Galaps to me have really this kind of standoffish personality. Very rarely will Darwin allow me to scratch her. I have to really coax her out to get her to allow me to scratch her. But let's have a look. I just want to show you guys. See this? She had some cuts, and now you can see the new growth, the healing, the scabbing. We cleaned it with some chlorhexidine that we were using with Slinky, and she's fine now. So fantastic. And the whole long roundabout story, I get sidetracked on my videos, but the long roundabout story as to why I think she got cut in the first place was when I opened this up. We have something called saw palmetto, and saw palmetto is this plant right here. See this? If you go closer, right towards the edge, you'll see little serrated areas. Can you guys see the serrated kind of spikes right here? It might be hard to see on this GoPro, but there are serrations here. So I think as she kind of went through, since it's been a while since they've been traipsing around in there, they haven't kind of packed down the new growth yet. So she could have just cut her head a little bit, cut her neck, because that's what it seems to me happened to her. But luckily we cleaned it out, we got her sorted, and it was my buddy Jafe Brewer who actually was the guy who noticed it. So I'm happy that he came along and noticed it, and I got right to it. And that's what I wanted to impart about these tortoises, man. Lots of work. The bigger they are, the stronger they are, and the more possible ailments you could run into as well. You have to know what to look for, especially, you know, when you're feeding them, the husbandry. It's not a tortoise that I would recommend is for everyone if you have limited amounts of space or if you live in a cold climate. That's not to say it can't be done, but you're gonna have to have a lot of money, and you're gonna have to have a lot of space. Plus heating up north is gonna be, way expensive. I mean, just on the heating in my state here in the winter, my electric bills have been cruising, well, they're up to about 700 bucks a month. I do have a lot of ponds now and pumps and things like that, but when the heaters are running, it is definitely a lot. Look at how gooey that is. Oh, that's some gooey good cactus. It's Opuntia cactus. They love it. These are New World tortoises, meaning they're from the New World, which is North South America. These guys are, of course, found in the Galapagos. They love cactus. Most tortoises love cactus, although it is a species of plant that was originally found in the New World only. They are eating, and I get this question so much. People ask me all the time, what are they eating? What kind of cactus is it? It's very simply spineless prickly pear. Opuntia, it's of the species, it's a paddle cactus. Opuntia is the genus. You guys, I don't know the exact species of it, and in fact I've had a hard time finding the name for the species, but it's spineless prickly pear. You can go to a Latin supermarket and find it. It's called nopales in Mexico. It is a food staple of human beings as well as my tortoises. They get a lot of hydration from it. They love it. But of course, I feed these guys a very varied diet, something important when you're feeding all your tortoises, okay? Very, very important. So they'll get hay, they're gonna get different collards, they'll get, you know, produce from time to time, but mostly these guys walk around and they eat the weeds that are in these enclosures here. So that really helps them out. You don't have to overfeed giant tortoises, but they should eat 2 to 3 times a week of supplemental food, which is what I do here. And the rest of the time they walk around, they get cactus treats, they get weeds. Oh yeah, she's feeling good. I'm so happy that this is healing up nicely, because I get nervous anytime one of my animals is sick. The other thing I'm really excited about with Darwin is the fact that she is now going into this water bowl. For the longest time, she was very lazy and not strong enough to make it in. I'm talking a long time. In fact, no lie, this year, 2021, is the first time I've been seeing her go in regularly. I've seen her maybe once or twice in the last 8 years, but now I see her climbing in all the time. So what do we know about these tortoises? They're slow to get sick and even slower to get better. So maybe just the fact that she's been eating the right foods, she's been getting the right exercise. You see how she's really straining? And I want her to be careful of Socrates, because sometimes their weight can hurt other tortoises of smaller size. So you have to be careful. That's why every once in a while you'll see dings in their shells. You'll see little damage to their shells because they sometimes kind of clunk against each other or clunk against the cement or the stone or branches and stuff. And that's what these shells are for. They are really a suit of armor for the tortoises. So I'm happy to see Darwin really using her strength to get up and around into this enclosure. Let's get her over here. Come on over here. There you go. Good girl. Let's see what those back legs are doing. You see this? So we really wanted to stretch those back legs and really, really use them. Let's get that gooey piece over there. So very good stuff with Darwin. Very, very happy. She also had an injury on her shell a few months back, if you guys remember, and that was right here. And you can see it is 100% healed up. We had Dr. Mike from PGA Animal Clinic, Dr. Mike Gillen. He saved it all up. Hey, you know what? Look at this. Oh, we got a tortoise drinking. Here's Socrates having a drink. Fresh water is so important when you're keeping your tortoises, and I'm giving them brand new fresh water right here. Come here, sweetheart. Oh, there he is. Now, this is the tortoise I want to spend some time with as well. This is a tortoise that, if you've been following the channel for any number of years, you'll know this is my favorite tortoise. Don't tell anyone else, but it's Nostradamus. This tortoise I got in 2004 when it was only about the size, oh gosh, of a small orange. And I actually had two. I had purchased two at the Daytona Reptile Show, which was like the mecca of reptile shows back in the day. And I went and I got two juvenile Aldabras. And that's what this tortoise is. It's an Aldabra tortoise. It's the second species of giant tortoise that you can find on the planet. And they are from a very small group of atolls called the Aldabra Atolls in the Indian Ocean. Now, what is an atoll? An atoll is nothing more than some coral reef that has been, it's just kind of sticking out the top of the ground, or rather the water, okay? So it's not really a proper island. They're atolls. They're just these kind of islandettes, if you will. They're either becoming more island-like or they're kind of submerging back into the sea. And this is a very, very interesting species because they grow so large off of the most kind of subsistence existence you can imagine. They eat, of course, vegetation. He loves cactus as well, and he is a boy because he showed me. I was actually able to see his reproductive organs a while back now. He averted the penis, and I was able to see it, and so that's how I know this is a male. And much like the Galapagos tortoises, it's very hard to find adult or male Aldabra tortoises. They've been bred in the United States for many, many years, whereas the Galapagos are an endangered species. And look at Socrates still drinking, everyone. They will drink and drink and drink and drink because they're an endangered species. What do we know about the Galapagos tortoises? Many of you already know this, but what we know is that the sailors, when the Galapagos became kind of a port for whalers or a midway place for them to kind of restock on fresh supplies, they'd grab as many of the tortoises, including the Aldabras, whenever they went out in the Indian Ocean as well. They would just put them in the ship's holds and they would have fresh meat because these tortoises don't need to eat or drink for a long, long time. And that meant fresh meat for the sailors, and it meant problems for the tortoises because they aren't fast enough to get away, and unfortunately these species were almost completely decimated. Now, the Galapagos tortoises are actually an endangered species. They are protected. They are a CITES 1 animal. That's the Convention on International Trade of Endangered Species, which means that no one in the United States can import Galapagos tortoises. The tortoises that we have are actually tortoises that were here in the United States since the early 1900s. They were brought in many, many years ago. So all these tortoises are actually the progeny of those foundation stock. It also means that many of these tortoises there weren't records kept on the breedings. So many of these tortoises may have been from different islands which have different subspecies of Galapagos tortoises. And that means that they are kind of a mixture. They're Galapagos tortoises, but they are not just like they were on the Galapagos, because as we know, when Charles Darwin went there, he looked at finches and he looked at the tortoises and was able to come up with his theory of evolution, because he saw different mutations and different adaptations and body design that these animals had on different islands that had maybe lower vegetation would have a shell similar to Darwin. And then the tortoises that needed to reach way up high with their necks had the saddleback shape, and they were able to do that. So he was able to come up with this theory that there is kind of the evolution basically means that there are different mutations that get passed on that are favorable for those animals in their environment, simply put, and that's why their morphology or bodies would then kind of take on those kind of forms. Really cool stuff, and I love these tortoises because they've inspired some great thinkers. They inspire me. But when we're talking about the Aldabra, good old Nostradamus, I personally think the Aldabras have the nicest disposition. And if you look, there's even little, he's even got little kind of nicks, probably just from going about his daily life. It just happens, you know. So these tortoises do get a little wear and tear, which is fine. I mean, when you live over 100 years, you gotta be tough and you gotta take things slow. And so Nostradamus, I got, like I said, in 2004, small tortoise. His clutch mate succumbed about a year after I got it from pneumonia, and that was devastating loss to lose one of these beautiful animals. Any animal I lose, I'm not happy about, but losing an Aldabra stank. But it was Nostradamus that just stuck around and got bigger and more friendly and loves when I scratch his neck. This is why I love this tortoise so much, everyone. It's just an incredible guy. He's my buddy, you know, much like Slinky. We interact a lot. I interact a lot with Nostradamus because look at how he's behaving right now. Just look. Isn't it amazing? He loves it. Now, why does he do this? He likes the way it feels, right? That's what I think. And the reason he likes the way it feels is because I get in there and I scratch all those nooks and crannies that he can't reach. And every once in a while, I'll see ticks on him and I'll pull the tick off. Now, what do we know happens in the wild? Well, what happens in the wild is there are birds that'll come down and they'll pluck. They'll clean off the dead skin. They'll clean off any ticks. And I think this really is a beneficial and symbiotic relationship between the birds and the tortoises. This happens in the Galapagos as well as the Aldabra and Aldabra Atoll. So these guys just really love to have their necks scratched. Look at this. It's almost like he's in a trance. And I just love being here with him and spending time with him. And it allows me also, folks, to really get up and close and just scratch and just see how his overall health is doing. And I learned this from my buddy Sam Pascucci of Florida Iguana and Tortoise Breeders. You know, you want to look for symmetry. Okay, you want everything to be the same on one side as it is on the other. His neck is symmetrical. There's no lumps. There's nothing happening here. His shell's nice and symmetrical. You can kind of see. And you can do this with your tortoises as well. You can kind of inspect them and make sure that they're doing well. There could be a leg injury. Is it swollen? Is there a wound anywhere? That's what I'm doing. I'm just kind of looking around. This is a lot of responsibility when you're dealing with these animals, and I want to make sure that they are extremely healthy and happy here at the camp, because it's so important that we do this when we take on the responsibility of caring for these amazing animals, man. So many people love to come here, love to visit with the giant tortoises. These guys could care less about me, but you notice excuse you, Socrates, a little burping. But basically, I love Nostradamus' shell. It's one of my greatest accomplishments with the tortoise, just to see this animal grow and have this beautiful, just typical, just the picture of a tortoise shell. Don't you think? The perfect roundness, domed, beautiful shell. And then you can see old injury here, a little damage. Don't know exactly what happened, but I think maybe a branch fell on him. Something heavy got him a little there. But hey, he's doing just fine. What are you doing, Darwin? These guys really are fun, man. It is awesome to hang out with them and just to see or share space. Now, as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, guys, here she comes. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I mean, this is like, for anybody who loves tortoises, this is just the bucket list animal. So you can get these animals. Hey, you better be good. You can get these animals, guys, if you got the money, but it's not money that it requires. It requires discipline and time and space and all the things I mentioned. So it's very, very important that you guys take that into consideration. As far as the diet, I mentioned a little bit about the diet of these guys. They're what you would consider grazers, browsers, so they're not gonna eat a lot of fruit. The fruit that they do get, oh, you're letting me touch you? The fruit they do get is gonna be melon and watermelon, and that gives them hydration when they need it, as well as making sure they always have fresh, clean water. So it's a lot of work, guys. And if you're doing this indoors, like I said, it's possible, but most of the time you're seeing people with, you know, either zoos doing this up north where they have some space, or even private keepers who have built large greenhouses in order to house their giant tortoises. Now, what I want to do is I'm going to go over here and grab this cactus out of the old water, because they have a hard time getting them. So there we go. Look at this, eating in the water, no problem. Made a mess, but I think they're pretty happy. And I love the fact that Darwin is inside while I'm filling this up. She's getting the soak. Normally she likes to wallow in that mud, which is still fantastic, because as we know about mud bats, they're very good. When they soak for long periods of time, it helps their skin, it moisturizes their skin, and also might kill parasites. So there's a lot of benefit for them wallowing. But we know that a lot of the problems that I've seen happen, oh, look at this, look at this. This is why I'm on hand. See, I wouldn't want this animal to strangle itself, now would I? That's why I'm always here when I'm filling things up. Oh, you know the other thing they like? You want to see something funny, guys? Check this out. Tortoises love showers. Watch this. Nostradamus loves a good shower, doesn't he? Oh, yeah. Look at this. He's frozen in a trance. That is the coolest. And he's getting bigger and bigger. You know what? When he's full grown, he's going to be close to 600 pounds, if not 600. That is awesome. The males get larger than the females. Behind me, Darwin, she's about 350 at the last weigh-in, and that's about as big as she's ever going to be. She doesn't need to be bigger than that, but the males, they get huge. And Socrates, in my opinion, is a female. I've had Socrates since 2005, as I mentioned, and Socks just takes her time growing. Almost positive it's a female. Come on, Darwin, let's get you a shower too, hon. Oh, I like to show you how beautiful their shells are. And we're gonna get that cactus out of the water also. So just a really fun time to spend with these animals. And I wanted to reintroduce some of you to them, because we have some new followers who may not have seen all the videos with the giant tortoises. And I kind of just wanted to introduce some of my new friends to these beauties so that they can see how special they really are and how much work is involved in keeping them happy and healthy. Got to have a good vet willing to come out and see them, or you got to have a forklift to get them in the pickup truck. It's not easy. Luckily, I've made friends with a fantastic vet, and he's been a big help. So I'm really excited. It's good to check up on these guys. They're behaving normally. You can see Darwin doing her thing. That kind of wound is healing nicely, and that's important, man. So hey, I hope you guys dug this. It was a lot of fun to hang out with you and show off the tortoises and kind of give you some information about them. Hey, let's all help each other out. How many of you actually have Galapagos tortoises? Let me know in the comments below. I'll bet you there's more than you think. If you're living down south, there's a lot of people with them. They're fantastic, rewarding animals, but you got to have the space. I think I've said that about, oh, I don't know, ad nauseum actually. So there you have it, everybody. Giant tortoises, are they right for you? Well, after listening to this video, you'll have a better clue whether or not they are. All right, everyone, thanks so much. And please do me a favor, don't tell Darwin and Socrates that's my favorite tortoise. I love you. I love them too, but they're kind of cranky sometimes. Hey, what are you doing? Look at how she buds right in on Nostradamus. All right, guys, it's a tortoise party. Don't forget to like and subscribe and leave a comment below. let me know if you like this video, if you like learning about these animals, if you enjoy the way I share my backyard with you and all the animals in it. All right, everyone, take care. Oh, and hey, I'm gonna be at the Knoxville Zoo on May 7th. That's right, May 7th, this week. If you live in the Knoxville area, come on down to the Ark. It's their brand new reptile house. You're gonna love it. You might even see me. I'll be filming a couple videos there. So if you see this video and you get there on May 7th, 2021, you might see me and the fam. All right, everyone, take care.